The Syrian midday light is white, implacable, almost solid. Heat rises in visible waves from the stone ground. The road winds between parched hills, and upon it a group of men advances with haste and purpose. At the front, a man of short stature walks with determined steps, his eyes fixed on the horizon where the walls of Damascus are beginning to take shape. His name is Saul of Tarsus. He carries letters of authorization from the high priest. In his saddlebags are ropes to bind prisoners. In the coming minutes, this man who breathes threats against the followers of the way will be cast to the ground by a light more intense than the desert sun. We are on the Via Maris, approximately 15 miles from Damascus, around the year 35 of the Common Era. What happens here in the next few moments will transform a persecutor into the greatest propagator of the faith he came to destroy, and will redraw the contours of human history for the next 2 millennia. Before we begin, write in the comments where you are watching from. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell. We continue. To understand what is about to happen on this dusty road in Roman Syria, one must first reconstruct the world that Saul knows, the empire he inhabits, and the reality that will be completely reconfigured in the next seconds of his existence. The Roman Empire of the 1st century is a machine of proportions never before seen in human history. From Lisbon to the banks of the Euphrates, from Hadrian's Wall to the deserts of North Africa, a single authority governs about 60 million people. Roman roads, like this one Saul now travels, are stone arteries that carry legions, merchants, ideas, and soon a message that no emperor will be able to stop. The road where Saul's group walks is part of one of the oldest trade routes in the ancient world. The Via Maris, the Way of the Sea, has connected Egypt to Mesopotamia for millennia. The Romans paved it, widened it, and made it secure with guard posts at regular intervals. Archaeological excavations along its path have revealed the black basalt stones characteristic of Roman constructions in the region, milestones with Latin inscriptions indicating distances to major cities, and the remains of taverns and way stations that served travelers. The ground Saul treads was once trampled by the armies of Alexander the Great, Phoenician caravans, and Jewish pilgrims, and now it carries the steps of a man who does not know he is living the final minutes of his life as he knows it. The Syrian midday sun casts short shadows. The temperature exceeds 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The air is dry, heavy with fine dust that rises with every step. The men accompanying Saul wear linen tunics suited for the heat and carry water skins that are already beginning to run low. Sweat pours down their faces. Leather sandals, cracked from use, leave footprints in the loose earth between the stones of the road. The surrounding landscape is arid, hills of whitish limestone, low vegetation scorched by the Syrian summer, and occasional olive trees offering patches of shade. In the distance, Mount Hermon still displays snow on its highest peaks, an improbable sight in the heat enveloping the party. The contrast is brutal. Eternal ice on the horizon, implacable fire over their heads. Damascus, the destination of the party, is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Archaeological records confirm human occupation there since at least the 3rd millennium before the Common Era. The Egyptians mentioned it, the Assyrians conquered it, Alexander crossed it. In Saul's time, it is a prosperous city, a commercial center of the Roman province of Syria, with an estimated population between 30 and 45,000 inhabitants. Its walls of mud brick and stone can be seen from afar, rising from the fertile valley fed by the Barada and Awaj rivers. Excavations in the ancient center of Damascus have revealed structures from the Roman period, including remains of what was likely the street called Straight, mentioned in the biblical account of the Acts of the Apostles, a colonnaded thoroughfare typical of Roman urbanism about a mile long. Inside the walls of Damascus, a significant Jewish community inhabits its own neighborhood. Synagogues function regularly. Jewish merchants trade in fabrics, spices, and metals, and among them, discreetly, are the followers of the Way, those who believe that Jesus of Nazareth, crucified a few years earlier in Jerusalem, is the promised Messiah. These are the ones Saul has come to arrest. These are the ones who occupy his thoughts as the road devours miles beneath his feet. The documents he carries authorize his mission to identify, arrest, and transport back to Jerusalem men and women who profess this new and disturbing belief. Who is this man marching so determinedly toward Damascus? Saul was born in Tarsus, a Hellenistic city in Cilicia, in what is now southern Turkey. He was a Roman citizen by birth, a rare privilege for a Jew of the diaspora, inherited from his father or earned through service to the imperial administration. His citizenship is documented in the biblical account itself, when years later he invokes this right before Roman courts. But his primary identity is something else. He is a Pharisee, the son of Pharisees, educated in Jerusalem at the feet of Gamaliel, one of the most respected teachers of the rabbinic tradition. The Pharisees represent the most zealous wing of Judaism of the period, meticulous guardians of the law of Moses and the oral traditions surrounding it. Saul personifies this zeal. He is young, likely in his 30s, but already recognized for the intensity of his devotion. The text of the Acts of the Apostles mentions his presence at the execution of Stephen, the first Christian martyr, guarding the clothes of those who stoned him. Since then, Saul has become one of the most active persecutors of the nascent community. The Roman Empire of this period lives under Tiberius Caesar, or perhaps already under Caligula, depending on the exact dating adopted for this event. Tiberius governs from his seclusion on the island of Capri, delegating the day-to-day running of the empire to prefects and magistrates. In Judea, Pontius Pilate still holds the office of prefect, the same man who authorized the crucifixion of Jesus a few years earlier. Jerusalem, from where Saul departed, is a city under permanent tension. The Romans maintain a garrison in the Antonia fortress adjacent to the temple. The high priests exercise religious authority under imperial surveillance. The Sanhedrin, the supreme Jewish council, tries to maintain peace with the occupiers while preserving ancestral traditions. It is from this Sanhedrin that the letters Saul carries emanate, authorizing him to act in Syrian territory against the followers of the Way. The road continues. The group passes occasional travelers, merchants in caravans, peasants taking products to the markets of Damascus, a detachment of Roman soldiers marching in formation. The Roman military presence is constant throughout the region. The legions stationed in Syria, one of the most important frontier provinces of the empire, total about 4 full legions, approximately 20,000 regular soldiers, plus auxiliary troops. Standards with the imperial eagle are common sights on the roads. Roman soldiers wear armor made of articulated plates, the lorica segmentata, or chainmail, the lorica hamata, depending on their detachment. They carry the rectangular shield, the scutum, the short gladius at the waist, and the pilum, the heavy javelin, over their shoulders. Their hobnailed sandals, the caligae, hammer the stone pavement in a martial rhythm. Saul observes these soldiers with indifference. He is a Roman citizen, protected by imperial law, but his mission is not secular. He does not come to impose the order of Rome. He comes to impose the order of God as he understands it. The followers of the Way are, in his view, blasphemers who distort the faith of Israel. Proclaiming that a crucified man is the Messiah is a scandal. The cross is the Roman instrument of execution reserved for slaves, rebels, and criminals of the lowest social rank. No pious Jew can accept that the anointed of God died in this way. The law of Moses is explicit. Cursed is everyone who is hanged on a tree. For Saul, his mission is an act of faithfulness, of purification, of zeal for the honor of the God of Israel. The companions traveling with Saul are likely temple guards, men trained to maintain order in the sacred precincts of Jerusalem and authorized to perform arrests on behalf of the priestly authority. The biblical text does not specify how many there were, but the mission to arrest multiple people and transport them to Jerusalem would require a substantial group, perhaps between 6 and 10 men. They carry ropes, light chains, and provisions for the return journey, which will be slower with prisoners. They walk in silence or converse in Aramaic, the common language of the region, about everyday matters. None of them suspect what is about to happen. The topography changes as the group approaches Damascus. The aridity of the hills gives way to the green of the oasis. The rivers coming down from Mount Hermon feed a fertile plain that contrasts dramatically with the surrounding desert. Damascus is literally a garden in the middle of nowhere, a green jewel surrounded by yellow and brown. Vegetable gardens and orchards begin to appear by the roadside. Farmers work in the fields. The smell of irrigated earth mixes with the odor of road dust. Voices of workers are heard in the distance, shouts of shepherds calling flocks, the lowing of oxen pulling primitive plows. Life follows its normal course, while Saul advances, step by step, toward the moment that will divide it into before and after. Inside Damascus, the followers of the Way live in fear. News of the persecution in Jerusalem arrived before Saul. Messengers brought warnings. Some fled, others remain, meeting discreetly in private homes to pray, break bread, and remember the words of the Master. A man named Ananias is among them. He does not know it yet, but he will have a crucial role in the events approaching. For now, he continues his routine, unaware that he is about to receive a vision that will command him to seek out the very one who is coming to arrest him. The sun reaches its highest point. The heat is unbearable. Shade is non-existent. The road seems to pulse under the white light of the Syrian midday. Saul and his companions are less than an hour's walk from Damascus. The city walls are clearly visible now, straight lines cut against the blue of the sky. Watchtowers mark regular intervals. Flags hang inert in the still air. There is no breeze, no relief, only the heat and the light and the noise of footsteps on stone. The Roman Empire that Saul knows is at the height of its expansion. The Pax Romana, the peace imposed by the legions, guarantees the stability of the borders and the security of the roads. Trade flourishes, cities grow, aqueducts carry water to public baths and fountains, amphitheaters receive crowds for gladiator shows. Temples to gods of all origins dot the cities, from the traditional Olympians to Eastern deities like Isis, Mithras, and Cybele. Religious syncretism is the norm. In this context, Jewish monotheism is a curiosity respected but not understood, tolerated by the Romans as an ancestral tradition that does not threaten imperial order. Jews are exempt from participating in the imperial cult. Their peculiar practices, such as circumcision, Sabbath rest, and dietary laws, are known and accepted as eccentricities of an ancient people. But something new has emerged within this Judaism. Something Saul considers a dangerous aberration. A group that accepts Gentiles into its communities without requiring full circumcision or the observance of all dietary laws. A group that proclaims that the Messianic age has already begun, that the kingdom of God is being inaugurated, and that the resurrection of the dead has already started in the person of Jesus of Nazareth. These ideas threaten the structure Saul knows and loves. They blur the boundaries between Israel and the nations. They relativize the law that is the center of his identity. They must be extirpated before they spread further. Each step Saul takes toward Damascus is a step toward this goal. His mind is focused. His plans are laid out. He will arrive in the city, present his credentials to the synagogue authorities, identify the followers of the Way, arrest them, and lead them in chains back to Jerusalem for trial. He has done this before. He knows how to do it. The routine of persecution is familiar, and then, without warning, without herald, without any indication that something extraordinary is about to happen, the light explodes. The text of the Acts of the Apostles, preserved in the New Testament canon, records 3 accounts of this moment, each with slightly different details but agreeing on the essentials. A light from heaven, brighter than the midday sun, suddenly surrounds Saul. The original Greek uses the word periastrapto, which literally means flashed around. It is not a gradual light, it is not a dawn, it is not a natural brightness. It is instantaneous, it is violent, it is inescapable. Saul falls to the ground. The physical impact is real, documented in all 3 accounts. This man who walked so confidently, so determinedly, is literally knocked to the ground of the road. Saul's companions react with terror. The accounts vary on what they perceived. One says they heard the voice but saw no one, another says they saw the light but did not understand the words. What is clear in all accounts is that something extraordinary happened, something that transcended normal experience, something that left everyone present stunned and unable to fully comprehend what they witnessed. For Saul, fallen in the dust of the road, blinded by a light more intense than any natural light, The world as he knows it has just ended. Everything he believed in, everything he defended, everything that motivated him up to this moment is called into radical question. If Jesus of Nazareth is alive, as the light and the voice proclaim, then Saul was wrong. Not just mistaken on a minor point, but fundamentally, catastrophically wrong about the center of his faith. The persecutor finds himself persecuting the truth. The defender of God finds himself attacking the work of God. The light dissipates. Saul tries to open his eyes and finds that he cannot see. The blindness is total. The voices of his companions reach him in confusion. Hands help him up. The road he could see so clearly moments before is now complete darkness. Damascus, which was his destination to arrest others, becomes his destination to be healed. The roles are radically reversed. The hunter becomes dependent. The strong becomes weak. The seer becomes blind. The remaining journey to Damascus is made with Saul being led by the hand, a broken man, where before there was a confident one. The guards who came to arrest others now carry their incapacitated leader. The ropes and chains intended for the followers of the way will remain unused. The letters of authorization become irrelevant. The mission ended before it even began, but not in the way anyone could have predicted. In Damascus, for 3 days, Saul remains without sight, without eating, without drinking. The man of action is paralyzed. The master of argumentation is silent. The persecutor is being rebuilt from scratch. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Ananias receives a vision ordering him to go to the street called Straight, enter the house of Judas, and lay hands on Saul so that he may regain his sight. Ananias's initial resistance is understandable. This man is coming to arrest us. But the answer is clear. Go, for this man is a chosen instrument to carry my name to the Gentiles, to kings, and to the children of Israel. The healing happens. Scales fall from Saul's eyes. His sight returns. And with it, a new mission, exactly the opposite of the previous one. What Saul came to destroy, he will now spend the rest of his life building. The synagogues he planned to use as bases for persecution will become pulpits for his preaching. The Roman roads that brought him here will carry his message to the ends of the empire. The impact of this conversion on the road to Damascus is incalculable. The man who becomes known as Paul, the Greek version of his Hebrew name, will write letters that constitute approximately 1/4 of the New Testament. His missionary journeys will establish Christian communities in Cyprus, Asia Minor, Greece, and possibly as far as Spain. His theology will shape Christianity in ways that endure to this day. His insistence that Gentiles can participate in the community of faith without first becoming Jews will open the doors for the universal expansion of the movement. More than that, Paul will take the Christian message to the very heart of imperial power. His letters mention greetings from members of Caesar's household. Christian tradition records that he was eventually executed in Rome, beheaded as the Roman citizen he was, possibly during the persecution under Nero after the Great Fire of Rome in 64 of the Common Era. The Basilica of St. Paul. Outside the walls in Rome marks the traditional site of his burial. Excavations carried out by the Vatican in the early 21st century revealed a 4th century marble sarcophagus under the main altar with the inscription Paul Apostle Martyr, containing bone fragments dating from the 1st or 2nd century. The site of the conversion on the road to Damascus has been venerated for centuries. A chapel marks the traditional spot, although the exact location is impossible to determine with archaeological precision. What can be documented is the continuity of the Christian community in Damascus since the 1st century. The street called Straight still exists, cutting through the ancient center of the city. The window through which tradition says Paul was lowered in a basket to escape his persecutors, now transformed into his own persecutors, is identified in the eastern walls. The House of Ananias, or the site so identified, is today an underground chapel that receives pilgrims from all over the world. The Roman Empire that witnessed this conversion would last for centuries more, but the forces that would eventually transform it were already in motion on that dusty road under the Syrian midday sun. The Christianity that Paul helped build would spread first through the Jewish communities of the diaspora, then to the Gentiles attracted to the synagogues as sympathizers, then to the urban classes of artisans and merchants, then to the higher strata of Roman society, until finally, about 300 years after that afternoon on the road to Damascus, it became the official religion of the empire that tried to suppress it. The persecutors became the persecuted. The crucified became emperors. The symbol of shame and death became the central symbol of Western civilization. And all of this can be traced, in lines that history has preserved, back to that singular moment when a man fell to his knees in the dust of a Roman road, blinded by a light he did not expect, called by a voice he did not plan to hear. Archaeology, history, and the sacred text converge at this point. Something happened on that road. Something transformed a zealous persecutor into the most tireless missionary the ancient world ever knew. Something laid the foundations for a civilizational transformation of unprecedented scale. It is not for this documentary to judge the ultimate nature of that event. It is only to record that it happened, that its consequences are documentable, and that the world after that afternoon was never the same as before. The light still echoes. The call still resounds. 2,000 years later, billions of people on every continent organize their lives around a faith that Paul articulated in his letters. Cathedrals that took centuries to build bear his name. Theologians still debate his words. Missionaries still travel roads, now of asphalt rather than stone, carrying the message he carried. And it all began there, in the dust of a Syrian road, under an implacable sun, at the moment when a man who came to arrest was himself captured. If this documentary illuminated your understanding of sacred history, subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Each episode is a journey into the past to understand the present. Leave in the comments. What other biblical moments would you like to see reconstructed? Share with those who seek to know the history behind the faith. Until the next reconstruction.